empty hearts and neon lights. They're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks here.
Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series live from Watkins, Glen International. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. First road course stop of the season here tonight, and it comes at the most famous one of them all. Before we get more into that, let's get right down trackside and get things kicked off with what your starting grid is looking like here on the night. How about taking pole at the first road course of the season? It's going to go to Isaac Smallwood. Puts down a 112.9. That's a pretty fast lap time here. I've ran a couple myself and nowhere close to that. Starting second man on the front row is going to be Braden Avila in the 25 machine. Bill Hales will roll off third with David Trailer to his outside back and fourth. Eric Hegdahl and Keith Prince going to be making up row number 3. It'll be John Shilino and Jesse Calloway making up row number 4. Kevin Winker, he'll roll off ninth, and Evan Schilling rounding out your top 10. Mark Beverly starts back in 11th. It's going to be Clinton Woodby to his outside in 12th. Jesse Wise starts 13th with Roger Strickland in 14th. Michael Miller 15th. Robert Dudley back in 16th. Dylan Paws in 17th. Haas Beverly 18th with Tyler Beverly in 19th. Joe Yakes rounding out your top 20. Nicholas Lawrence, Jay Stinson making up row number 11. 23rd is going to be Lance Thompson. Colton Hardy 24th. Caleb Patton in 25th. Jonathan Herbert 26th, Will Rainwell in 27th, and Dennis Steele in 28th. And, you know, all things considered, again, a little bit of a smaller field than what we're used to seeing, but no too big of surprises there. I mean, it's a road course. Some of these guys love it, but a lot of guys not too big of a fan of it. So I think we'll return to that usual number that we hit next week. Now, taking a look at your race info here on the night, it is the Nirjuana 135, and that's right, it's the first race at the road course, Watkins Glen International. 2.42 miles in total length, over 7 turns on this track, left and right. Track temp tonight going to be starting at 102. A little bit slipping and sliding going to be going on here on these cold tires. We are in the Craftsman Truck Series. 55 laps the race distance here on the night. Everybody is going to have 90% fuel, 4 sets of tires, 1 faster pair of fixed setups as always, and then a stage brake on lap 20, and 3 green-white checkers if we need them as well. All right, so you see everybody doing some things that we wouldn't normally see them doing in an oval. One of those things is warming those tires up. You got to get these things up to temp as quick as possible. And believe it or not, at a road course, one of the few tracks where you can actually get away with not taking tires when you go in for a pit stop, saving a lot of time. We'll see if that strategy comes into play at any point here tonight. But right now, no cautions except for the stage brake. No full course cautions, that is. And so when you come to a road course, how it works out is if these guys wreck, it'll be a local sector caution. So we won't see it on the broadcast, but in their cockpits, the game will show them that there is an area of disturbance, if you will, on the track near where they're at if the caution's out there, but it won't bring out a full course caution. So again, we will not see this pace car back out on track until that stage break, and that will be the last time that we see it out on track. So you got to get what positions you can, but I'm telling you, if I'm one of these guys out here, I think this first stage, this first stint, is going to be all about trying to keep it consistent, keep this thing going in the right direction. It's not going to be an easy one. 2.4 miles in length complete for the first time tonight as the pace lap wraps up. Pace car is going to pull off. Fields in the hand of Isaac Smallwood. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Watkins Glen. Good initial start for the first 2 leaders. We'll see how everybody gets into turn number 1. First time, heavy braking zone. Biggest one on the entire track. So far, so good. Looks like everybody's staying nice and smooth, nice and clean. Next up, first time through the S's on the night, the uphill, and one of the sketchiest portions of the track. You do not want to get yourself spun out in this area. Again, hard to go side by side through here, but it looks like so far everybody's doing a pretty good job of it. Now they work their way onto the back straightaway. Isaac Smallwood has already pulled out to about a 3-truck lead. Braden Avila quickly able to duck in behind as they dive into the bus stop. Another one of those interesting things. You see something similar at the Daytona road course, but a little bit more speed carrying here into the Watkins Glen one as they head into the carousel down. Usually this is where you'd see the boot if these guys are running in any sort of sports car series. As Caleb Patton maybe already with a little bit of an issue. A couple guys out back trying to get some position sorted out. A little bit of bumping and banging. As you saw, Caleb, it looked like did go into the grass, but he's able to get it back together. Smallwood again keeping it clean. It looks like he's going to complete this first lap without any sort of a hiccup. That final turn does have some banking. You see it there. Turn number 7. And so as they cross the line to complete lap 1, we got trouble further back, and a pretty good amount of it. 2 different trucks sideways. Jesse Wise in the 69 and Lance Thompson in the 21. That was on one of the runoff areas coming out of turn number 6. Let's see if we can break down exactly what happened to a couple of these guys on this first lap incident. This was Caleb Patton just carrying a little bit too much speed out of the bus stop. Rear end starts to slide out, slips on him, and he goes around. And then the incident that we just saw right there in the runoff area of turn number 6 is, just a little bit too much speed right here for Jesse Wise. As he gets in the corner here, the front end stick and the back end's not trying to save it, goes around, spins the other way, and then you'll see appearing into the picture here not too much longer was Lance Thompson, who also went for a slide in the background. Joe Yates able to miss him. They both are able to get back rolling, so they'll continue on but lose some time as Isaac Smallwood rolling into turn number 6. He's already got his lead up to 2 seconds on second place Braden Avila, so wasting no time trying to get to the front as now Will Rainwell maybe with a little trouble as well further back. And we're going to be talking about spins a lot. Oh, gets T-boned. Rear-ended actually by the 27 of Patton, who had nowhere to go. Oh man, Will Rainwell with a little bit of a mistake right there, pulling the way he did back on to the racing line. That's a tough break for Caleb. That's going to be a fast pair. Nowhere he could go as Tyler Beverly in the runoff area. Yikes. Show you that one more time. It was just not good timing, but again, Will Rainwell here, I think it may have been in his best interest to either wait just a little bit longer or try to go the other way here, maybe back it up and then straighten it out. But he sees Thompson go by, thinks he's got a shot here, and then the onrushing Caleb Patton just nowhere to go and nothing he can really do at that point. That's a big hit. You saw the 27 have to tow. That'll be his fast pair gone in just a couple laps. The 17 maybe more or less the same. Tyler Beverly now in the pits, as it appears he has maybe crashed, and we've already got more replays than we can count here in just a couple of early laps that we've ran. You see him getting into turn 1. Looks okay here. Still no issues. There it is. Again, just trying to get the throttle down a little bit too soon. Spins it out, goes into the tires. So that'll be his first faster pair gone as well. Smallwood still no change of lead up front. The next closest battle we have is right here between Bill Hales and Eric Hegdahl. Hales, nothing that he's got to worry about too much just yet, as he's going to try to continue to defend Eric Hegdahl, or defend from Eric Hegdahl, if you will. And as we look at the track map again, this is a big track. I know we say 2.5 miles in length in general, which is about the same distance as if we went to a track such as Daytona, but it feels a lot longer here when you're turning left and right, and it's hard to go a lap down, but if you make mistakes and you do get caught a lap down, it's going to be really tricky to get that lap back. So as Bill Hales, Eric Hegdahl, Braden Avila now all start to close in a little bit closer and closer. You got to wonder how this battle will start to set itself up. Braden Avila, it's been a pretty good season for him. Still looking for that first win. But then Isaac Smallwood from Mopowa, already a couple wins on the season. Can't forget those back-to-back wins. And then, boy, what a wild finish we had last week at Atlanta. Was looking to make it win number 3. Things did not quite go his way as him and Joe Yates tangled coming to the line in the checkered flag with a lapper. Unfortunately, Isaac Smallwood came up just a little bit short, but keeping that fire and whatever momentum he felt like he still could have gained from last week, which was still plenty. I mean, in second place, nothing to scoff at by any means, but when you had a truck as good as he did, you got to think he felt like he probably deserved that one. So tonight he's taking full advantage as he continues to try to roll away from the rest of the field, and I think it's about time that we take a ride on board with one of these guys. In fact, we'll go back a little bit further here to Kevin Winker. and show you just what a track like Watkins Glen looks like from an onboard cam. Here you go, up into the S's. Again, this is a very sketchy portion of the track. These things don't have a lot of downforce. This section uphill, you still need plenty of it. If you want to try to go full throttle, it's not going to work, especially as tires start to wear out. But Winker there does a nice job getting through. He's going to set himself up for the bus stop. This is almost a streamlined kind of turn. You cannot miss any of the two apexes that you run through in this corner. He hits one, he hits two, no issues. And now getting down into the carousel, another one of those points on the track where you might hear a downshift, depending on how some of these drivers decide to take it. Doesn't look like he is. You see right now he's sitting in third. As he gets up to speed, he'll shift back up to fourth. Again, the trucks, unlike the next gens, only a 4-gear H pattern, so you're going to see these guys utilize probably second, maybe a couple times, definitely third, and some of fourth. I think the only time you might see him actually get down into second, from the looks of it, at least here with Kevin Winker, is going to be turn number 1. But as he gets back up to speed down the front straightaway, we still see speeds over 150 miles an hour here, and more trouble out back again for a couple other trucks that had struggles early, and those struggles are going to unfortunately continue here, as it looks like Caleb Patton has retired the truck yet again. I believe he got into some more trouble after that last incident. Jesse Wise, he's got some significant damage on the right side of his truck. In fact, I wonder if he's got a tow issue now. I can't tell. It's hard to say. We'll see if he brings this thing down to the pits or if he decides to stay out. I think he's going to bring it to the pits. Yeah, it certainly is. That's a smart decision. That truck looking crippled here a little bit early to be trying to keep it out. It may not be as fast as he needs it to. And so as he limps it back, Clinton Woodby was the next guy that had an issue here. I think it's just going to be a little bit of an off track, but he does save it. Nice job there by Woodby to hold on and continue on. And then this was Caleb Patton after that incident where he went in and took his fast pair. Actually, I take it back. That was the same incident. We'll go to this incident over here. This was the one after. He's getting up to speed as he comes through the bus stop. You see him downshifting. Everything seems okay there. Gets into the grass a little bit. And then as he's trying to get back up to speed, no, looks like he just decides to call it here. He's having some sort of difficulty there. He pulls off, gets it back up to speed, but we eventually ended up seeing him tow, so still not exactly sure what happened with the 27. Then here's where Jesse Wise gets all of his damage. Coming off the carousel, gets loose, and yeah, it's a pretty hard hit to that Armco barrier. Has now more trouble with Mark Beverly, potentially, it looks like. The 13 is slow, going up the S's just after turn number 1. Evan Schilling will go by and pick up another spot. So these struggles will keep continuing. Again, we may not even be able to show the replay of every single incident that happens because there's just too many as of right now, as Tyler Beverly got back out, but I believe he had another little bit of a struggle. And so Smallwood is loving what he is seeing right now. I mean, he could back this pace off and still have a chance to lap this entire field by the time the race is over. How about this? 7 laps in over 7.5 seconds, the gap right now that the 5 has built over Braden Avila. Make it 8 as he works his way, roaring off of turn number 7. And Avila running a smooth pass. So is Hegdahl, Trailer. These are all the guys that are pretty consistent, going to have a good chance at a good race with each other all night. And then we always talk about you have that road course ringer. I think we might have found him early, as Isaac Smallwood is the man who is showing the most strength. David Trailer, though, by the way, he is our one driver that we have on a driver cam on the driver cams for us here on the night. That'll be a fun view later. We'll take a couple shots of it. But, you know, I mean, it's the first road course of the season. A lot of inexperience coming in terms of a mix of rookies and guys who just don't really run road courses. I mean, when you think of the term NASCAR, you certainly don't think road course, but it's exactly what we got here tonight. It's going to be a fun one all night, and Tyler Beverly is going to miss the bus stop there, so we'll have to take the access road, which, important to note, you can do that. So if you feel like you're not going to make the bus stop safely, just go ahead and overshoot, go onto that access road. You'll get a time penalty, but it's a lot better than getting your truck in a bad position and maybe getting some damage. Will Rainwell with more trouble here. This just happened as, oh, ouch. Gets into the inside wall coming up through the S's, and he has been slow trying to limp it back since. We'll see if he can do so. There's Tyler Beverly. Still cruising along. It looks like Will Rainwell has now decided to tow it to the pits. So we're already seeing a couple retirements early and quite a few guys going a lap down here in just the first 10. As Smallwood, you see, maybe starting to loosen up just a little bit here. Tyler Beverly, he's going to bring it into the pits. Decides that he either wants to make some adjustments or he might be calling it for the night. But Let's go through the field here and see how some of these other guys are doing. I know we've been focusing a little bit more towards the front here on the night, but here's a look at Colton Hardy. We know the talent level that this guy's got when it comes to ovals. Was wondering what he'd bring to the road courses. Right now struggling a little bit, but still up 2 spots overall from where he qualified. There's Lance Thompson making a pretty good recovery after that first lap spin. Oh, announcer's curse as he gets back into the Armco barrier again. Off of the carousel. We saw Jesse Wise tag that wall just about a handful of laps or so ago, and now it's the 21 doing the same exact thing. Jonathan Herbert in the 88 Ridge Power Sport Chevy Silverado. It's a good-looking paint scheme he's got on here tonight. Going up a little bit more here, Haas Beverly in the 22, still looking for his first win on the season. The 77 on Michael Miller up in 18th. There's Robert Dudley, Nicholas Lawrence, Jay Stinson, Dylan Paws, and Roger Strickland. Maybe going to get into a little bit of an argument here in just a minute in terms of who wants to take that 13th position. Again, we are expecting that stage break in just about 10 laps from now. Haven't talked about it yet, but fuel not a concern for this first stage. These guys projected, due in part to what we heard at least from Mark Beverly, courtesy of Mark Beverly, I should say. Ooh, hold on to it right there. Again, Jesse Wise really struggling to get the power down on that 69 truck. He is, by the way, already fallen at least a lap down, maybe 2. And nope, looks like he's just going to stay a lap down for now. 21st on back, no longer on the lead lap. But as I was getting ready to mention it again, these guys can make it about 25 to 26 laps on fuel. And with that stage break coming at the start of lap 20, there should be no issues there. So Isaac Smallwood will just try to roll this thing clean and green for the next 10 laps, see if he can capture some extra points, and then set himself up for what's going to be that final restart of the night, and ultimately that 35-lap stint to the finish. And when you get a race like this where there's no full course cautions, again, it really changes the mindset of a driver. I mean, in real life, we know that they can get these full course cautions, even at a track like Watkins Glen, but iRacing not the way they set it up, so you'll get local yellows. iRacing warning you that there's a driver that is wrecked or gone off course if you're in the vicinity, but when you don't have any full course yellows, you got to be so much more mentally disciplined for that race as a driver. It takes one slip up, and man, you could get in trouble and not have a chance to get back to the front for the rest of the race. The one big break, though, for everybody is that stage break. So on the contrary of me saying keep it clean, I 100% could see in the argument and the strategy of trying to be aggressive for this first stage. As there's Lance Thompson as he comes to a stop in the runoff area off of turn number 6. He is waiting for everybody to go by, I believe, before he'll get back rolling. That's exactly what he's doing. And looking at the track map, nope, he's just going to go ahead and tow it. Maybe he decided he's had enough for the night. And these guys were putting up a lot of practices over the week, trying to get prepared, trying to do what they can. Rounding out that point that I was just noting about, if you're aggressive now and you mess up, as long as you don't hurt the truck, you just lose track position, you'll get that stage break and at least have a chance to get it back. So 2 strategies, either playing it safe and conservative and trying to get that track position, or playing it aggressive, going for the track position, and if you spin it out, well, you're just waiting for this stage caution and be right back in the mix. 12 laps now complete, coming down to turn number 1. Still not too much tight battling going on the racetrack right now. A couple guys trying to battle it out back here. Look like, I believe that was Mark Beverly and Clinton Woodby starting to close in on each other just a little bit. Roger Strickland. Joe Yates now. He's on the back bumper here of Clinton Woodby. We'll see if he can set up a pass to make here going into turn number 1. And I should note that is one of the biggest braking zones on the entire circuit. So if you're looking for a pass, that might be the area that you first think about trying it out, but it doesn't look like Yates is going to do it. Ooh, Woodby goes a little wide right there. This will open the door up to Joe Yates. He's going to take a peek to the inside as they go up into the S's. And Woodby showing that veteran presence right there. Knows it's early. Knows that it's awkward to try to go in those S's too wide, so he'll just let Joe Yates have it. Just go ahead, my friend, and hopefully you'll give it back to me later if I can find a little more speed. And another thing to note, I don't think these guys have a limit. I'm not sure on that, but you can get X's here just for running what in real life would be the normal racing line, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here via the cockpit cam of Isaac Smallwood. So watch as he gets down into turn number 1. Again, heavy on the brakes. He's going to get down, I believe, all the way to 2nd gear right here. But in real life, we see guys run way to the left of this rumble strip that he's on right now, maybe almost to the outside wall. You can't do that here. You will get an off track that'll give you a penalty after a while. So you got to keep it I think you can do 2 tires off of the rumble strip, no more. And then through the S's, there's not really any area to run off as see Isaac Smallwood work his way around Mark Beverly. And then coming into the bus stop here again. Not too many areas you can get it off track. You got to be careful to not cut these rumble strips too much. Could potentially get a cutting the corner penalty. And then notice the banking here. If you do somehow go too wide and you get off track, it's really tough to get slowed up enough to get back on. Here you can go as wide as you want, and there you see Isaac Smallwood taking full advantage of that. That's David Trailer. He's popping up on the driver cams now. Get that sorted out in just a moment as Dylan Pause. Maybe he had some trouble further back, but the driver out of Hartford, Kentucky, I mean, pure dominance to say the least here early. There's not really any other way to put it. He's had speed from the drop of the green, and he's looking to see if he can capture stage number 1 here. Thompson has retired it to the pits, and we talked about Dylan Pause. A little bit of trouble here, it seems like. Not sure exactly what happened, but seems to be rolling back to business as usual, sitting behind 31 machine of Jay Stinson. Rocking the 213 Simware Ford F-150. And so Jay Stinson, we actually saw with a lot of speed in the Noma Gen 6 Series last night, is out here still again looking for his first win of the season, but we've seen him with a couple good runs, and no surprise to see him out here having a good shot at it so far tonight. Isaac Smallwood continues to roll 14 laps now completed. Braden Avila second, and boy, the battle for third is starting to heat up, making the battle for second actually, as Avila is trying to hold off Hegdahl and Trailer for the next 6 laps, and that's a lot of racetrack and a lot of time to have to do that. Eric Hegdahl, again, we don't really talk about saving tires here. You certainly don't want to be sliding the back end out through every corner, but besides that, you certainly don't have to focus as hard on tire saving as you would at some of the 1.5-mile ovals that we head to. So I don't think that's so much the issue here tonight. I think that Hegdahl and Trailer have just really started to kick things up a notch here and have started to really find some speed. And speaking of David Trailer, taking a look, he's one of our guys again that's carrying a driver cam for us here tonight. And well, if we could ever get him up on it, we keep trying here. The driver cam doesn't seem to be cooperating with us tonight, so apologies to David, but showing you the onboard view nonetheless. As he rides behind Hegdahl, I think everybody's just kind of waiting for each other to make a mistake at this point. I mean, no point in really pushing the issue. Just see if you can get the other guy to slip up a little bit first. And now Avila is going to start to stretch that gap out just enough to get a little bit of breathing room, start to get a little bit comfortable. Now talking a little bit more about strategy. So we know that with the caution coming out on lap 20, these guys maybe run, I'm not sure how many pace laps it'll make them run, maybe 2 to 3. And so let's say we go back green with 23, 24 laps complete. That's still not quite enough to make the entire fuel window. You'd be about 5 laps short. So then you start to ask yourself, does anybody think about trying strategy? I mean, 5 laps is a ton of fuel to have to save. If you have a track, though, that you got to save a lot of fuel at, a road course would be the best place to do it. A lot of turns, a lot of areas to maybe either just let out of the gas a lot sooner, maybe push the clutch in, roll through some of these corners. We'll see how they all decide to go about it, but all of a sudden, as Hegdahl has fallen just about a truck and a half away from the rear bumper of Braden Avila, David Trailer, again, continuing to apply the pressure, waiting to see when he's going to try to pull out a line here and make a move. Nothing doing yet as they get into turn number 1. Everybody just so smooth and so even at this point. But notice what Trailer did right there. He backed the corner up a little bit more. He got a great exit. It's going to help him through the S's here. We'll see if he can carry enough momentum to try to set up a move here down the back straightaway. Trailer was able to get in a little bit better here on Hegdahl. He's going to have a run. The question is, will it go anywhere? It looks like it's not. So just as quickly as they all had started to close up on each other, they're starting to spread back out ever so slightly. Jesse Calloway, Clinton Woodby. Keep an eye on those two. Mark Beverly and Colton Hardy, by the way, has also fallen a lap down. In fact, it looks like as we stand right now, again, we started with 28 trucks in this race, and we've already got quite a few, almost half of the field a lap down. And I don't think any of that's necessarily due to pitting on purpose. I mean, hey, you see it 18th on back or 19th on back. So maybe we'll call it about a quarter of the field for now. The point is, we're losing a lot of trucks off that lead lap early. The less you have on the lead lap, the better. If you're Isaac Smallwood, I mean, it's less people you got to worry about. But how about this? Smallwood is going to make his pit stop right here. This is a lot earlier than I would have guessed. I'm really surprised about this strategy right here. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve, but I'm baffled here. Smallwood, you know what? The only thing I could guess, I mean, look at this. Avila, Hegdahl, David Traylor, all coming down to the pits. My only thought here is that maybe they're trying strategy to set themselves up to win this race. Because by pitting here, you're going to come out as the leaders after the stage break, but all of these guys just cancel their chances of getting any stage points. And I think that's exactly the strategy they're trying as they pit just before we were coming to 2 laps to go. So that hands the lead over now to Bill Hales. We'll see if he decides to stay out or if he goes with the pitting strategy as well. And in fact, he currently sits just about 8 seconds ahead of Kevin Winker. So no real pressure here if you're the 53 truck. Take your time. You can afford to kind of cruise here for these next. It's going to be 2 laps to go. Ooh, somebody just got way off right there. That was, I believe, Haas Beverly. Speaking of Beverly, Mark Beverly on the pits along with Joe Yakes, Tyler Beverly, and Lance Thompson in the background. They've made their stops as well. Says Joe Yakes will get back through the gears. The access road relatively short here at Watkins Glen. No real struggle there. He'll come back out ahead of Robert Dudley and Michael Miller. And oh, heavy contact on the front stretch. That is Haas Beverly. As you see the fender flying, again, that debris is not going to draw a caution, but that's a heavy, heavy hit to the left front of that truck. Does he just get tight coming out of the corner? Yeah, he does. In fact, kind of blows the corner. We saw him, you know, I want to go look back at this. Noticed him get really, really wide on exit. This is what caught my eye. Again, you can go as wide as you want here. Just seemed like, again, it was a really, really wide exit. Not what we've seen from most guys here on the night. And then coming through turn 6, this was to lose another lap. He was probably trying to fight to get it back. You have to assume he gets through 6 pretty clean. Trouble's going to come in here when he gets in on entry of 6. Just way overshoots it. Gets off track. The wheel is deadlocked, right? It's just not nearly enough. And yeah, that was a hard hit. That wall comes up in a hurry. So Haas Beverly, some pretty significant damage here just before the stage break. So lap 19 is next time. This will be the white flag for Bill Hales, and he didn't pit yet, so I don't believe he can. I got to assume that pits are closed at this point. So the 53 working his way out of turn number 7. You will see the white flag. He's got 7 more corners to go as Miller spins it out behind him. Michael Miller with big contact into the inside wall. And again, I don't really know if I want to call it bad luck, but the tenacity, I guess we'll call it, the difficulty of Watkins Glen strikes yet again. In fact, he had just spun in the bus stop here on this same lap. And then he's just going to try to get a little too much again here when they come into turn number 7. Speeding it up for you right now. But then watch this here. I don't think he was trying to pit in the process, but you're going to take a listen. Truck just starts stepping out on him. Gets a little bit too greedy on the throttle. And yeah, it's a pretty big hit. You see the damage to the front of that truck. And he did decide to tow it pretty quickly. Felt like that thing's not going to be able to make it back too easily. So now Bill Hales, as he works his way off of the carousel, 2 more corners to go. And I believe this might be Bill Hales' first stage win of the season. I wouldn't say quote me on that. Probably about an 80% chance. And how about it? Who would have guessed at a road course? Bill Hales, definitely a good super speedway driver and plenty of talent at the 1.5 miles as well. Looks like he's got some here on the road course. Decides to go with the long strategy, and it works out. He wins stage 1 at Watkins Glen. So there is what will be the only full course caution of the night. So this will give everybody a chance to group up. Everybody except for the guys that already pit are going to go in for fuel and tires, including Bill Hales, Kevin Winker, Keith Prince. But there you see in 4th on back, Isaac Smallwood. A lot of those guys going to be staying out due to the strategy play. But again, nicely done for the driver out of Mount Washington, Kentucky. So with Bill Hales winning stage 1, the only downside is this is going to put him, I wouldn't say to the back of the field, but probably more towards the middle of the pack, depending on just how many we did have officially end a lap down right there at the end. So as he's coming around here before they get set up for this first pit stop, I don't think they're pitting this time. See if we can get a quick word here with your stage 1 winner. Hey Bill, this is all set up for the booth. Got a copy? Hey Bill, this is all set up for the booth. Got a copy?
Hey, buddy, how you doing tonight?
Good. Well, how about it there? Looked like maybe you got the good end of the strategy called by the leaders right there. Looks like the top 4 or 5 decided to go in. You stay out and you capture some stage points here at a road course. Was that kind of the game plan there? Or did you have to improvise when you saw all the leaders going in?
Nope. We're gonna strategy is run to the green or the checkered here, and then go to like lap 32 or 33 and pit on this last segment.
All right. Well, with all the speed that we've seen tonight, we've seen equally as many struggles from a lot of drivers. I mean, tell the people watching at home just how difficult this track is, and from your perspective, what's been the hardest thing about the first road course of the season here tonight?
The trucks aren't in the track, man. They are loose as crap, especially going up through the S's. They are really, really loose coming off the S to get on the back stretch. You really got to back them up a little bit and not be hammered down. But the main thing is they're super loose tonight.
Certainly seemed that way. Well, we appreciate you giving us some quick words. Congrats on the Stage 1 win, and hey, who knows? We'll see if we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good night, man.
You as well. Bill Hales, there you go. Seems pretty excited about it, and he put that in perfect terms. And it's hard for me to kind of like describe it, I guess, to you guys back home, but if you ever got a chance, or if you're one of the drivers watching this out there, you know what I'm talking about. These trucks here, he's right. They don't have the downforce for a road course. They're not meant for it. That's why when you see the IMSA cars come here, they run so much faster. And yeah, through the S is one of the very, very sketchy sections of this 7-turn racetrack. So you see the pace car with the lights on there. By the way, a Porsche, how often do we get to see that through the season? We'll get to see it at least once more, as I know these guys head to Mid-Ohio. There might be another road course or two besides that on the schedule. Talk more about that in this final stint, but expecting the pits to be opened up this time. And we'll see if we get the one to go next time. We're going to take our first break tonight. We'll go side by side. We'll be right back at Watkins Glen for the restart. Stage 1 complete. Welcome back to Watkins Glen International. It's the Nirjuana 135 for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series. It's been a pretty good one up to this point here on the night. I want to thank everybody that has tuned in at some point or currently tuning in or watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. First road course of the season, not too bad, all things considered there. And Isaac Smallwood looking like the man in charge again. We did see Bill Hales capture the stage win, but it was Smallwood who by far had the most speed here during that first run, which was 20 laps under green. 23 now complete, so we'll go back green with 24 total complete. That's going to leave us with, looks like 32 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. Again, that's still coming up about 6 laps short of the fuel window if you pit at the stage break. So these guys who pitted sooner than that, such as Smallwood Avila, they are going to have to make a stop, but I don't think it'll hurt their strategy. I think this was a good call for everybody that decided to pit before the stage break and get the track position. And there you see Bill Hales didn't fall too far back. Looks like he's in 7th. So still, I think, pretty good setup again here. And I think he should have a good shot the rest of the way. And so we will be getting the green again this time. You see the lights on the Porsche pace car are off. The 5 of Isaac Smallwood chose the inside. The 25 of Braden Avila on the outside. You refer to him a lot more as just left and right here at Watkins Glen, and it's a good way to put it, but the advantage down into that first turn is going to go to that right side, so you knew that'd be the lane that Smallwood would want to be in for this restart. Further back, the 11 of Eric Hegdahl in 2nd. David Traylor, you got to wonder still, what can these two do? And no more cautions the rest of the way. No more full course cautions, so I know I talked about it a lot the first stage, but now really might be the time where if you don't feel like you've got the truck completely under you in terms of control, take it easy here. Again, still expecting one more pit stop. Maybe split this thing in half, maybe go a little long, a little short. But whatever you do for that first portion, try to keep the truck clean. You're going to need it for the end, and I think we're going to see a lot of spin outs here, especially on this restart. All right, here we go. Pace car pulls off for the final time here on the night. Stage number 2 and the final 34 laps. Green flag back in the air. Racing again at Watkins. Good even start. Getting into turn number 1. The true testament yet again. Does everybody keep it clean? Looks like they do, at least in terms of the front row further back. A lot of jockeying for position, but no issues. Getting into the S's. This is where you start thinking about trying to get single file here pretty quickly. And Smallwood Avila going to do just that. Same thing for Eric Hegdahl just behind David Traylor. No moves being made. Your top 4 were able to kind of scoot away. They broke up into islands during that last run. You had Smallwood just gapping the entire field. And then it was Avila, Hegdahl, and Traylor dueling it out for second as we see a lot of grass and debris flying in the background. These guys getting everything they can. The bus stop is not a corner, set of corners, if you will, that you can go 2x2 through. So you saw a lot of guys side by side down the back straightaway, but that didn't last very long as they quickly got into that bus stop. There's Clinton Woodby on the outside trying to get this truck to rotate. Yeah, Evan Schilling going to get to his inside momentarily, but not able to hold on. Quickly has to get that position back up. So up front as they continue to try to extend their gap, back here is where all the eyes are, because this is where a lot of times we see the trouble, and it's where we did see all the trouble during that first restart to kick off the race. John Shilino back here in 22nd. Haven't had a chance to talk about him here tonight, but one of the Sonic Graphics design paint schemes in the field, the driver out of Hamburg, New York. Maybe not the exact run that he wants as of right now, but again, still plenty of time. We're not halfway through this race just yet. We still got 2 laps to go before we hit that point. Keith Prince, he's got a couple of scuffs to the right side of that Chevy Silverado. And speaking of Silverado, that brings us to car manufacturers. How about this? Chevy right now sweeping 7 out of the 10 spots in your top 10. 2 Fords and a Toyota, with David Traylor making up the rest of those positions. And overall, looks like the general idea is that most people like the Chevys, prefer the Chevys more, and hey, you got one leading right now. So one thing we've learned, at least up to this point tonight, is that Isaac Smallwood, he's good at turning left, but apparently he's pretty good at also turning right. Braden Avila into second, not letting him pull away quite as quickly this time. You got to wonder if Avila maybe made some mental adjustments there on what he could do earlier in the stint to try to not let him pull away any further. The best way to compare things, though, is via lap time, and if we compare Isaac Smallwood and Braden Avila these last few laps, at the end of the day, looks like actually Avila was running faster. Looks like it was the last 3 out of 5 laps, and then those last 2, Smallwood yet again was faster. So not sure what happened there to Smallwood, but Avila, after picking up the pace, maybe starting to slip a little bit. Goes up the S's. No track position to be gained. Nothing just yet. Further back. Here we go. Side by side. Beverly going to try a move on the inside here of Keith Prince. Talk about how dangerous of an area it is to do it. Oh my goodness. The 4 of Jesse Calloway looked like he was going to think about making a move too, and he is. He'll jump to the outside of the 3, down the back straightaway. Something's got to give here. Who is it going to be, the 4 or the 3? Looks like the 4 will give way to Keith Prince. Prince able to hold on to that position, but he does lose the 1 spot to Mark Beverly. Dylan Paws is going to go around, out back, spins it, and gets hit, like in the right rear right there. Gets it looped back around, gets going here as Mark Beverly arrives on scene. Ooh, nowhere to go. The 22 has to shoot to the outside. Now, another thing that you might have noticed since we started the race, track temp has cooled down just a little bit. Currently sitting at about 2:30 sim time, 41% humidity, and partly cloudy skies. And those partly cloudy skies are indeed responsible for the degree or 2 drop that we've had since the start of this race, but that's not really making a difference. In fact, everything's probably pretty consistent in terms of weather conditions here tonight. So it's all about what kind of lap times you can put together, how much consistency you've got, and what you can have for that final stop and after it. A lot of retirements from the race at this point. Dennis Steele being one of those. Looks like Caleb Patton as well has called it a night. Tyler Beverly, Will Rainwell, Lance Thompson, Michael Miller. I mean, the list keeps going on and on. Jesse Wise currently the last truck out on track. He is not on the lead lap. In fact, there's only 18 of them still on the lead lap. And up front, Smallwood doing what he's done best all race, starting to extend that gap out now yet again. Braden Avila has fallen back to almost 2 seconds behind your leader. Eric Hegdahl back in 3rd. He's up 2 spots again from where he started. But David Traylor, but these two have been going at it all night, and Hegdahl's really kind of been getting the best of them a little bit. And Traylor, to be fair, has not pushed the issue too much. But I got to think if you're Traylor here, you got to try to keep the streak going, a podium. So we'll see if he sets up Hegdahl at some point, either during this run or maybe during the next run. And the guy that I am most impressed with tonight, alongside Isaac Smallwood, has got to be Joe Yakes. He's your biggest mover through the field. He's up 15 positions from where he started. And at a lot of tracks, we would say, that, that's impressive in itself, but at a road course that you come into and maybe not having the best run, maybe not knowing too much about it, seemed that might have been the case for Joe Yakes. As not the best starting spot tonight. Took him a while to really find any sort of momentum, but he started slowly picking them off. Then he started picking them off faster, and all of a sudden now he's broken his way into the top 5 with a chance to go maybe battle a couple of your top 3 here. He's got the truck for it. Question is, what does he have for David Traylor and Hegdahl now that he's got there? The phrase goes that catching him's one thing, passing's a whole nother. We'll see what he's able to make happen here. It's one of the loose lug nut drivers. Kevin Winker in the 42 machine back in 6th. There's Bill Hells just behind him, still hanging around the top 10. He's in that 7th spot after getting the stage 1 win. Right now for the 53, doesn't look like he's going to have enough speed to go up there and contend for a win, but certainly enough to hopefully hang on to a top 10. Is right now the big thing that's amazing me is that 7th on back has already fallen almost 11 seconds. In fact, the gap almost increases exponentially as you go from 7th on back. But it just, at this rate, I would not be surprised if Smallwood manages to lap most of the field. Because again, that we are not going to get a caution. So all this really comes down to is who makes the mistake. If Smallwood doesn't make a mistake and keeps slowly extending this gap, he's favored tonight. I mean, he has led every lap that he has not been cycling to a pit stop on, in terms of he led every lap from the start of this race until he decided to make his pit stop. Then he had to relinquish the lead for the rest of the stage, but got the restart on the front row, back in pole position where he qualified tonight for stage number 2 right here, and he has not let go since then. Take another little bit of ride on board here with Smallwood for just a moment. He's just so smooth through the corners. The less wheel inputs you've got to do, the better, and you really don't want to have to be putting much of any towards the right, as you see him have to do a little bit there off of turn 6. But when you have stock cars this heavy that are this loose and this minimal on downforce, it's pretty impressive to be driving that smooth of a truck and still extending a gap to as big as he has. And Braden Avila, while he has lost a little bit of touch with the leader here, he has not fallen back to this little second group just yet. Still comprised of Eric Hegdahl and David Traylor, but that 3rd edition, Joe Yakes, he's being a little pesky for these guys. He is not going away. He's staying as close as he can. And Kevin Winker, Bill Hales, they're starting to close up on each other a little bit here. Bill You wonder, does he have anything in the tank to try to make a move with? Gonna have to get a little bit closer before he can even make it a thought. Jesse Calloway back in 4th. You saw Keith Prince there in 3rd. Evan Schilling back in 9th. Or excuse me, Keith Prince back there in the 3 car, I meant. Evan Schilling back in 10th. Clinton Woodby 11th. Roger Strickland 12th. Jay Stinson in 13th. Nicholas Lawrence in 14th. Mark Beverly 15th. Robert Dudley back in 16th. Dylan Paws 17th. Jonathan Herbert in 18th. John Shileno 19th. And Colton Hardy currently rounding out your top 20. There's Haas Beverly and Jesse Wise 21st and 22nd. As we have now officially hit the 30 of 55 laps completed mark here at the Glen. And so since we brought up the topic about there being multiple road courses throughout the season, I think that's a pretty good topic point, or a pretty good pickup point for us to talk about what the schedule's looking like. I know we bring it up every week, but it never hurts to know what's coming up next. The next race after this is going to be Dover Motor Speedway, the Monster Mile. We'll see how that one goes, and then followed up by that is going to be a really good one at Auto Club. And we head to the Lady in Black Darlington before we hit the 2nd Super Speedway of the season. Talladega Super Speedway on March 8th, Martinsville on March 15th, Kentucky Speedway on March 22nd, and then there you go. Mid-Ohio, March 29th. Circle it on your calendar if you're Isaac Smallwood, and if you're everybody else, maybe thinking about skipping that day depending on how you feel about road courses. Mid-Ohio going to be a lot trickier than Watkins Glen, so we'll see how that one goes. Phoenix, followed by Indianapolis, and then rounding out April, a couple races later, is Iowa. May 3rd, Daytona International Speedway. Legacy is going to be the last race in the regular season. We'll see who can get the job done there and who's going to have a chance to go chase a championship. We talk about championship, winning your in has been kind of the big thing of the season so far. We've not had quite as many new winners as I would have expected, and part of that is because some of the repeats that we're seeing, especially with a guy like Isaac Smallwood. Can't forget about Eric Hegdahl, though, getting that first win to kick us off at Daytona at the start of the season. And then, oh, somebody with some trouble right there. What was that? Sounded like an expired motor. That was a really... Was that Jonathan Herbert? Who was that? Not sure exactly. It sounded like it was maybe Jonathan Herbert. Let's go see what these two incidents were here. No, that was Jesse Wise. This was Jonathan Herbert here. Coming off of turn number 6, going into turn number 7. And does he have some trouble here? Yeah, he does. He loops it right around. Oh, he overcorrects and then fortunately slides right into the outside wall. That's, again, a pretty dangerous area to spin out. Lucky for him, there was nobody around when he did, so he was able to get fired back up and get rolling. But if he would have stopped there and the leaders come by, that's a pretty wide or a narrow exit that they're going to have to make to avoid him. So that could have certainly complicated things for a guy like Isaac Smallwood. Just like that, 24 laps to go to Glen, which seems short, but it's not. Again, lap times running right around the 110 to 112 mark, unless, let's see if Smallwood's actually picked it up. Remember, his qualifying time was a 12. And yeah, he is not, and that's partially due to some of the tire fall off that it looks like they're seeing right now. Back to the 114s at the moment. So the question's got to start creeping into your mind of when do you make that final pit stop? Again, you're really only going to need about 6 laps worth of fuel. So maybe a fifth of the total tank in terms of gallons. Not sure exactly what that is. We'll have to find out. But if you're Smallwood, do you like the idea of going in early and just running this thing out? Or do you try to maybe stay out as long as you can and go in the latest of anybody? I don't know if we'll see anybody choose to take tires either when they make this stop. They might just go ahead and stay or stick with just gas, fill it up, and get out as quick as possible. Coming up on another lap. Oh, the 88 of Herbert spins right in front of Isaac Smallwood. That costs him all sorts of time. Avila's got a scramble as well. The 25 misses him, as does the 11 and the 54. And man, I'm telling you, Isaac Smallwood is probably fuming right now under the virtual helmet. That number 5 truck, he cannot believe that he almost just saw his race go up in smoke with a lap truck. Herbert there trying to get out of the way. He's been a little bit uncomfortable here tonight. Just involved in a couple of the more recent incidents that we've had with a couple of single trucks. Looks like he was just trying to recover there and maybe get it back together, and just unfortunately bad timing, almost wrong place, wrong time for Isaac Smallwood, but he keeps it together. A little bit of a lockup went through the grass, but again, no harm, no foul. So next thing that we should probably bring up is what points are looking like at this point, and it's shaked up a little bit throughout the season. We've had a lot of switching going on, but David Traylor, he's been Mr. Consistency along with Keith Prince. They sit 1-2 in the point standings. Kevin Winker, third. Mark Beverly with that win to get himself locked in fourth. Braden Avila, fifth. Jesse Calloway, sixth. And then Eric Hegdahl and Isaac Smallwood, again, two other drivers that got themselves locked in with the win, 7th and 8th. And then Joe Yakes back in 10th with the win. Robert Dudley in 9th. So your top 10 still as strong as ever in the point standings, but you can't forget about all the guys that probably just about anywhere from 2 to 5 spots outside of the top 10, because they've been showing a lot of strength here through the last couple races. Tonight, just, again, not a favorite preferred track of a lot of drivers. A couple of the road course ringers love it, but everybody that's out here is already doing themselves a pretty good deed by just trying to complete this race. And if you get out of here with the top 10 and really not too many, if any, incidents, it's a good day. It's a tough feat to accomplish at a track like Watkins Glen. But Isaac Smallwood is trying to do just that at the moment. Braden Avila still trying to spoil the party. At some point, you got to wonder how much time does he have left. By the way, for anybody watching tonight, please do let me know how the audio sounds in terms of game audio and then how I sound. Hopefully it's not too loud. I try to adjust it a little bit before the race. Now you see the 88 of Jonathan Herbert making his way back out onto the track after making a pit stop. And a couple of these pit stops that we are seeing seem to be coming a little bit on the early side. But again, that fuel window is open. In fact, it's been open now for a handful of laps. So Isaac Smallwood, he's got the chance to pit here whenever he wants. We're just waiting to find out if he does right down the middle, half and a half. Does he try to go late, or does he try to undercut himself and maybe pit a little bit early? Don't think there'd necessarily be a need to undercut himself, and I know he'd rather play offense than defense by the end of this race. And Avila in second. Eric Hegdahl has all of a sudden pulled up to the back bumper of the 25. You wonder if this is as a result or direct consequence of that incident involving the 88 of Herbert in the bus stop just a lap ago. And then there's Joe Yakes working his way around the lapper of Dylan Paws. He'll have no issues, or excuse me, Jonathan Herbert. Similar paint schemes there. He'll have no issues completing that passes. Rolls his way off at turn number 6. Yakes, by the way, did pick up that one other spot to get himself officially into the top 5, up 15 from where he started this race at. And as Isaac Smallwood still leads, he picks off a couple more that looked like it might have been Jesse. I believe it was it Jesse Wise? Looked like there who he lapped. It was definitely John Shileno, and then, yeah, it was Jesse Wise in the 69 truck. Not the night either of those two drivers wanted to have. And so with us heading to Dover next week, that's going to be a really, really technical track. So I know it's a road course and Dover's an oval, but you never know what technical things you might be able to take from here tonight. Throttle control is certainly one of them. Need a lot of that next week at Miles the Monster. But Isaac Smallwood, he is hearing none of it, having none of it right now. All he wants is to go capture that 3rd win on the season. And the reality of it continues to look brighter and brighter. It's going to be 19 laps to go when we cross the line this time. We are going to take a quick break. We will be right back at Watkins Glen. Stick with us. Back live with the Nirjuana 135 at Watkins Glen. And guess what? Pit stops are underway. Isaac Smallwood making his final stop of the night. The leader, this is his money stop. As long as he doesn't do anything out of the ordinary here, any big mistakes, should be good to go the rest of the way. And hoping to set sail and doesn't have to worry about a caution, so it'll be all about pit cycling from here. There you see Braden Avila in the box just behind. And surprisingly enough, looks like everybody is indeed going to take 4 tires. So not too much strategy play there. I thought maybe we'd see a couple guys try to take just 2, maybe run this thing out a little bit longer, but they feel like tires are important enough, which, I mean, in theory, it certainly seems that way. Making the truck, of course, as light as possible. That's the big difference on road courses, is you do not want to take any more fuel than you need to. And so Isaac Smallwood back out, and looks like that. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. He just made a pit stop, which, by the way, is about 40 seconds worth of time just getting into the pits, getting out, plus your stop. And he still came out 4th. Currently 30 seconds behind your leader, Hegdahl, but Hegdahl hasn't pit yet, and now he will. And so with 16 laps to go, I mean, Smallwood's going to come out of this with probably an even bigger gap, maybe almost doubled what he had going into it. So he has found the right trick and continues to work with it, but Eric Hegdahl's got the 4-wide broadcasting network scheme on tonight, and so we come to 15 laps to go, I believe, actually 16 still. We'll see how far behind he comes out in comparison to your leader, or what will be your leader once all the pit stops cycle out. Right now, Joe Yakes being scored as your leader, but if we pull up the track map here, Smallwood already gets by. Didn't take him too long. So as noted, Joe Yakes now as being scored as the leader. You see coming into the carousel, and Smallwood, the gap right now is probably about half a track between those two, but Yakes by no means going to be able to make it the rest of the way, no matter how much he saves, or if he did try to save that much, he'd lose that spot either way. So it's just, when does he decide to pit? He's going with the long game, and we know that there's no chance of caution, so he can't be gambling on that. The next best guess would be maybe he thinks it's better to take the tires later. Maybe he's only going to take 2. Tough call. We'll have to see what Yakes decides to go with. But with 16 laps to go, you can feel it starting to slowly close down on the end of this race. It won't really feel that way until it gets probably about 10 to go. But that last pit stop is always kind of the last point of where you feel like things start to wind down a little bit. And as Yakes makes his stop, so does Mark Beverly. See Thompson, a couple others that are still in the pits from earlier. Looks like Colton Hardy was one of them as well. And not sure if Hardy has decided to call it for the night or if he's had an issue here getting into the pits. Nope, makes it back out. So just had to wait a little bit longer than we were expecting. And just like that, Keith Prince going to get his first lap or 2 of the night led right here. He can stretch this, by the way, if he wants to, all the way to probably right around 6 laps to go. At least that's my general guess. We'll see if he does choose to go that far. I wouldn't think he would. I think maybe he goes another 5 laps at the most, maybe around 10 to go, makes that final stop. But I just don't really think he can go much, if any, longer than that. So as he works his way through the bus stop, nice and smooth. Smallwood, 7 seconds behind. I'll tell you what, at this rate, Smallwood might actually get to him before he even makes that final stop. So Keith Prince certainly going to lose a lot of time from this one when it's all said and done. But how about the first lap now, again, on fresh tires for the 5 machine of Isaac Smallwood. A 1:13 flat, one of the faster laps of the night. Not as fast as we saw his qualifying lap, but this is going to go by Clinton Woodby here in the 92. Woodby actually going to drag race him a little bit until they get closer to the turn, and then Woodby will give way. And so we've already seen Smallwood, by the way, win on a couple ovals. This would be his first non-oval win of the season if he can get the job done here tonight. There's the 3 of Isaac Smallwood. And, you know, I say non-oval. Maybe I should break it down into a couple more subcategories. The main thing you see for the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series, at least that I'm going to consider, is the super speedways and the 1.5 miles, and then kind of the tracks that they might be considered short tracks. They're kind of in between a short track and a 1.5 miles. And so you got those subcategories, and right now Smallwood has gotten 1.5 miles, and he's gotten close to quite a few others, but still 1.5 miles and greater, I should say. But not one at a road course just yet. And Rockingham, boy, what a chance he could have had there at some points throughout the race. But Atlanta was the one that really was the kicker in terms of looked like he was going to have it potentially coming out of 4. Yakes tangles with the lap truck, the 69 machine, in fact, of Jesse Wise. And then, unfortunately, that ends up ending in chaos and heartbreak Isaac Smallwood fans as he came up 0.06 of a second short. His third victory on the season. Further towards the back of the field, in fact, let's take a look. This has been, by the way, all since we went back green. We took a look at some of them, but these are just all the different incidents that some of these guys have had, some of the struggles. I mean, it's been difficult. And here's Jesse Wise. Let's see what happens here to the 69 as he's coming around turn number 7. Is he going to get loose? Yeah, it didn't look like he had any trouble there. Might have just worked his way off track a little bit. Dylan Pause came to a stop, it looked like, or maybe went through the grass. Does he just get off? Ooh, yeah, looks like same deal for him as what we saw with Jesse Wise, actually. So, yeah, that runoff area is one of the areas you can't go off of, or it counts as an off track. Colton Hardy here, let's see if he had more of the same thing, or if he had, oh no, he blew the bus stop, and he realized it last second. He did bail out of it, smart choice there. The only problem was the amount of time that it cost him. So he was able to get back rolling, but it's a tough break again for the driver of the 16. It's not been nearly as many spins, innocent spins, as you would think, compared to what we had earlier, but as we come to 12 laps to go, next time Keith Prince right now working his way off the carousel, just past what would be the boot section. Got a little crank it up road course style. Here we go. And that'll do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. Hope everybody did enjoy it. Closing in on 10 laps to go, and guess who has reclaimed the lead? Isaac Smallwood in the number 5 truck was able to just get by Keith Prince just about a couple of corners ago, and I think Keith maybe now makes that final pit stop. Tried some strategy. We'll see how it works out for the 3, but definitely doesn't look like it's going to give him any shot at the win here. And so Smallwood's next biggest competitor, Braden Avila, is currently 8 seconds back. So while the pace isn't quite as blistering as it was right out of the gate for Isaac Smallwood, he's certainly got plenty enough to try to cruise this thing home the rest of the way with 10 laps to go. And I mean, hey, look at it this way. He's only got 70 more corners and probably equally, if not more, shifts left to go in this race. So David Traylor, who is in 4th, still looking to see if he can get up to the podium spot, but he's got some work to do. More separation now between him and Braden Avila than there was earlier. The good news is that he was finally able to get around Eric Hegdahl. Been struggling all night to get around him, but he finally was able to make the pass, and you never know here. Maybe if Keith Prince, by the way, who actually, again, I still think he's got to make that final stop. I mean, I just don't see any way. Certainly didn't think that he's already pit, unless he did, but not seeing it, at least on our scoring. So I still believe Keith Prince has got to make that final stop, and it's just a question of when. And then this happened just now. Let's see what happened here. Colton Hardy and then Dylan Pause. Is Colton Hardy just going to overshoot the bus stop again? Yo, no. Just going to get the chrome horn from Kevin Winker. That sends him around, sends him way off the track. Comes up just shy of an inside safer barrier. Sure, Colton Hardy didn't think too much of that. And then here's Dylan Pause getting into the bus stop. And it looks like he, just a little bit too much curbing getting in. The truck didn't like it. Gets it out of whack, and then eventually he goes around on exit. Lucky that didn't collect any of your leaders. There's Evan Scheiling sneaking by there as well. So Smallwood works his way up to the S's. It's 9 laps to go. Race summary tonight, it's a pretty simple one. One caution, it was for the stage break. That's because we did not have any full course cautions allowed here on the night, but what a night it has been for Isaac Smallwood. I mean, look at the field right now. 12th on back is currently a lap down, and 23rd on back is out of the race. And so that just shows you that how grueling it's been. And for Isaac Smallwood to have the gap that he's got on Braden Avila at this point is just, it really is. It's just so impressive. Braden Avila, same thing for him though, in the sense of how he's been able to hang on. And he did make some mental adjustments during that one caution we had, and didn't quite let Isaac Smallwood run away as quickly as he did during the first run, but just unfortunately not quite enough speed to go track down that 5 at the moment. So Avila, he'll have to keep digging here the rest of the way. David Trailer in the 54, still trying to see if maybe he's got anything to go peek up for a 3rd or 2nd, depending on when Keith Prince makes his final stop. And then everybody else fighting for whatever positions there are left to fight for. Kevin Winker, Jesse Calloway going at it. This is the battle for 8th. Kevin is up a spot from where he started this race at. Jesse down 1. Jay Stinson, another one of those big movers in the field tonight. He's in 10th. Good run and a great comeback because he is up a total of 12 spots from where he first started this race at. So the driver out of Bristol, Tennessee, figured some things out as, I gave him the announcer's jinx again. Second driver I've done it to tonight. Man, I hate it for these guys. I got to stop, but here you go. It's just coming just past that section where the boot normally is. Starts to get loose. Locks it up quickly. Unfortunately, the truck just doesn't straighten back out for him. So he goes down and makes a little bit of contact with that inside Armco. I don't know if it cost him a position. Well, it may have cost him 1. No, I don't think Shileno is for position right now. Yeah, he's not. So Stinson actually is going to stay in 10th, even with the mistake. Mark Beverly right now, we'll see long before he is able to get to Jay back up front. Keith Prince has now fallen to just over 6.5 seconds behind Isaac Smallwood. Braden Avila now back to almost 9.3 seconds behind your leader, with 7 laps to go here at the Glen. Next place that we're going to head in terms of any sort of racing here on Ghost Racing Network. Well, tonight we actually do have a race over at FEGPC. Make sure you go check that out. Going to be some money racing under the lights at Daytona International Speedway. But check this out. Coming Tuesday night is going to be a charity race, money racing style, over at R&R Racing League. The Deborah Strong 133 will go live at 9:30. It's going to be a good one. All funds going to go to charity except $100 to the winner to help give these guys some enticement to want to race. But love to see everybody out there for that one, just as we love seeing everybody in here for this one tonight. And there's David Trailer taking a look at one of the drivers that we've had on driver cam all night, but haven't been able to get a view of up until this point. So here he is, the driver number 54, the only Toyota. Think about that for a minute. Only Toyota right now inside the top 10. Much more in the top 5, and potentially fighting for a top 3 here in just a moment. See if he can get there, but right now he's got pretty clean track ahead of him as Braden Avila, you see, sits a couple seconds ahead as they stand at the moment. In fact, yeah, just about 3 seconds ahead. Keith Prince, though, finally going to make that stop. I was just getting ready to say, I'm surprised if Keith Prince has not made that stop yet. I'm not sure what he's waiting on, but that's going to answer that question right there. He indeed has made that stop. So Keith Prince will lose that 2nd position to Braden Avila, and sure enough, that will move David Trailer up into that final podium position. Again, looking to keep the streak going. He's finished 3rd. I can't tell you how many times over the course of the last couple of weeks. He's going to maybe get another one here tonight if he can hold on for another 6 laps. Again, still plenty of distance, all things considered. 18 miles, 7 turns per lap. Still quite a bit of ways to go here at Watkins Glen. Again, next week, if you're going to be tuning in, make sure you check it out. It's Dover Miles the Monster. And if Isaac Smallwood can capture the win tonight, again, it'll be his 3rd of the season. Then he'll have a chance to maybe go back-to-back again next week. Could have been a back-to-back this week with how close it was last week, but things didn't quite work out. And by the way, for any Joe Yates fans, we've been keeping an eye on him. He's still hanging it just inside the top 5. Again, last week's winner with a great comeback here tonight in terms of not the start he wanted, but continue to be persistent, continue to fight, and finds himself right in prime position here by the end of this race. Bill Hales, your Stage 1 winner, was able to pick up a position since the restart after the stage. He is now up to that 6th spot, down 3 overall from where he started, but not a bad night. I mean, some stage points and a top 10 just outside of the top 5. I'm sure Bill Hales is plenty pleased with it. And then there's Keith Prince, came back out on the track 7th. We'll see if he's got enough juice to track anybody else down. Kevin Winker back in 8th, Jesse Calloway in 9th, and Jay Stinson, again, currently rounding out your top 10. And if you look at the gap, 40 seconds right now is about the distance from 8th on back, a little bit further the more you go. So if we still had another probably 20 to 30 laps left in this race, there's a good chance that Isaac Smallwood laps just about everybody except for your top 5, but I think we're going to run out of time for that. Looks like Mark Beverly maybe with a little bit of an issue here. Let's see what happens to the 13. Oh, he's just going to run it wide. And so that'll give him an X, but again, no harm, no foul there, I don't believe. And then Dylan Paws, did he have some trouble here? Oh, he had some big trouble. What happens backing this up? That's coming off of turn number 1, and man, that's almost a carbon copy of what we saw happen to Tyler Beverly early on in this race. Trying to pick up the throttle a little too early, and it's pretty unforgiving here. And then once that happens, cost him pretty big time. And then coming up the S's here, I mean, that truck is destroyed. He's trying everything, but it's just not turning, so he's going to get back into the outside wall at this point. He decides it's probably in his best interest to just go ahead and keep it there. So that might very well end the night for Dylan Paws. More trouble here. Did he finally come to a stop? Oh, I think he did, yeah. That car was not able to drive back to the pits too easy, so he decided to just pull it off to the side and let the tow trucks handle the rest. Isaac Smallwood now catching up to the back bumper of the 8 machine. And he'll go by no problem. That's Nicholas Lawrence. Nicholas currently in that 17th spot. He is up 4 from where he started tonight, so all things considered, not a terrible night. As Haas Beverly, does he have some trouble here? The driver out of Ohio, looks like he got back rolling, so not sure what the exact problem was here. Does he just go, I'm thinking he just goes a little bit wide. It's been the case. Oh, he goes way wide. Just got way too aggressive on entrance. But again, that's no harm, no foul, as long as there's no X limit. And then carbon copy of what we just saw with Dylan Paws here. This time it's the 88, Jonathan Herbert, who's the victim. Try to pick up the throttle just a little bit too soon off of turn number 1. Again, it cost him in a pretty big way. Isaac Smallwood, now 3 laps to go, less than 21 turns. And trying to see if he can cap off a win at the first road course of the season in the Nirjuana 135. By the way, there was a $5 bonus tonight. Well, it's not much. Hey, it's something to the driver who had the cleanest. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it would be the highest finishing driver with the fewest incident points. And I think Isaac Smallwood not only is going to get the win, he's going to get that bonus $5. I have not seen, well, I mean, actually, we saw that one lockup where he had to go through the grass in the bus stop. I wonder if that cost him anything here. As Jay Stinson, by the way, is running in 10th, is about to get put a lap down by the 5 machine. And the laps here, the distance is 1 minute and 14 seconds. That's how fast Smallwood's been here during stage number 2 and what we should ultimately call the final stage of this race. And now he's going to be coming to 2 laps to go. Normally you'd hear us saying this is the last lap for the caution, but he doesn't have to worry about it. So I think right now, if you're Isaac Smallwood, you're putting this thing in cruise mode and getting ready to finish it up and head to victory lane. Jesse Calloway, Kevin Winker were dueling it out a little bit earlier. It was Winker who had the position, but it looks like since Calloway has been able to take that spot away, Jay Stinson back here along Mark Beverly, who's back in 11th. Evan Schilling in 12th. Roger Strickland back in 13th. Clinton Woodby in 14th. And Woodby, that is not for position there as he goes alongside Prince. Robert Dudley, John Shilino back in 16th. Nicholas Lawrence there, 17th. 18th, Haas Beverly. Jesse Wise in 19th. Colton Hardy in 20th. And everybody else with issues that it looks like has put them, for the most part, out of this race. And so we'll take one more look at this track map to show you what it is Isaac Smallwood's got to pay attention to the rest of the way. And looks like maybe just a couple lappers, 1 or 2. You see he's coming up Oh, as he gets really loose there. Easy now, Isaac. He's got a fast truck, and yeah, he's going around the 88 of Herbert there. He'll get by with no problems. 2 more lap trucks in the distance. Not sure if he'll quite catch those guys by the end of this race, but if he does, he'll just have to work his way through those 2 without any problems, and it'll be clean sailing for the rest of the way. But here we go out of turn number 7. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Isaac Smallwood at Watkins Glen. 7 corners to start the race out, 7 to finish it. And he's going to try to enjoy every single moment of it because he has got that gap now up to 11, almost 11 and a half seconds over Braden Avila. David Traylor back in 3rd. No battle in between these 2. Traylor was not able to catch Hegdahl, though, on the other hand. He has caught up to the 54. This battle could get interesting here for the remainder of the lap. I'm not sure what Hegdahl can do. He'll pull a little bit of draft down the backstretch, but not sure if it's going to be enough to even set up a move on David Traylor. And this cat-mouse game seems like it's been going on this whole final stage. Earlier, though, it was Traylor chasing Hegdahl. Now it's Hegdahl chasing Traylor. So as they work into the bus stop for the final time, Hegdahl got a little bit closer. He's better in the braking zone right now. David Traylor maybe starting to sweat just a little bit here. They're coming up on some lappers. This could also have a say in who gets it. Meanwhile, back up front, Isaac Smallwood working his way through turn number 6 for the final time. 1 more quarter to go. Turn number 7. Last time he'll see it, but not the last time I'm sure you'll hear us say this. It's going to be win number 3. Comes at the first road course of the season. Isaac Smallwood wins it at Watkins Glen. Back to the battle for 3rd. Eric Hegdahl, final time through turn number 7. He won't have enough. David Traylor is going to hold him off. They'll drag race to the line, or excuse me, not drag race, still streamlined to the line. And it is going to be David Traylor capturing that final podium spot yet again. Rest of the field further on back, all single file. And all smiles right now, I'm sure, from Isaac Smallwood. He is your winner. We ended up with 9 cars in total on the lead lap. Think about that, 28 trucks in total. And we only had 9 of them actually finish on the lead lap. What a race it was, though, for the first road course of the season. Smallwood's probably going to come around and show us a little smoke. I think he's pretty pleased with himself again after that win. So as he works his way around, we continue to await results again. We'll get interviews from your top 3 here momentarily, so make sure you stick around for that. But next week, on to Dover, and Isaac Smallwood, he just continues to keep the momentum going. He's already got himself locked into the playoffs. But he doesn't want to stop there. He wants to continue to prove the point. That whether it's a super speedway, a 1.5 miles, a road course, this 5 machine doesn't come to play. He's got a lot of speed. And taking a look at your final results for the night as he comes around to burn it down. Your winner tonight, again, Isaac Smallwood for Mopawa. Braden Avila brings home a 2nd place run. David Traylor, again, keeping it consistent with another podium finish. He brings home 3rd. Eric Hegdahl back in 4th. Joe Yakes in 5th with Bill Hill 6th. Keith Prince 7th. Jesse Calloway back in 8th. Kevin Winker in 9th. And Jay Stinson rounding out your top 10. Mark Beverly 11th. Evan Schilling in 12th. Roger Strickland 13th. Clinton Woodby in 14th. Robert Dudley 15th with John Shilino in 16th. Nicholas Lawrence back in 17th. It's going to be Haas Beverly in 18th. Jesse Wise in 19th. And Colton Hardy rounding out your top 20. Jonathan Herbert finishes 21st. Or excuse me, Dylan Pauls finishes 21st. Jonathan Herbert 22nd. Michael Miller 23rd. Lance Thompson 24th. Will Rainwell in 25th. Tyler Beverly 26th. Caleb Patton in 27th. Dennis Steele rounds out the field tonight. He finishes in that 28th position. All right, well, it looks like the celebrations will continue a little bit longer here for your winner on the night. As the 5 machine gives a smoke show to the virtual crowd on the front straightaway. We are going to go get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Watkins Glen. All right, going to start first tonight with your 3rd place finisher. David Traylor brings home yet another podium. David, this is also the booth. Get a copy.
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, oval road course, doesn't matter. You continue to stack up the podiums. But, man, what a wild one it was here tonight. You had to work through those positions and kind of looked like a methodical climb all the way to the front. And then that last lap there, looked like you and Eric Hegdahl were getting ready to get into it. Tell us about your race.
Yeah. I really am probably one of the happiest guys on the track or after tonight. I had pretty much no expectations, so I'm ecstatic with a third. But yeah, overall it was super fun, very technical. Me and Eric were pretty close the whole race, and once I got by him after the pit stop, I thought, all right, well, as long as I can keep him behind me, then I should be okay, because it's so hard to pass here without the guy letting you go. So we got pretty close sometimes, but I was able to keep between the lines, and I've, like you said, another podium.
Yeah, another podium indeed. Still waiting on that first win, though. Before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, yeah, thanks to my teammates, Keith and Evan. I know they had a little bit of a rough go with just a couple mistakes, and that's kind of all it takes here. And then thank you to Mark and the Beverleys. They put this league on. It's awesome. You see it oval racing, road course racing, a little bit of everything for everybody. So thank you to them. Thank you to you. Amazing broadcast every week. I love watching it. Some of the best commentary on iRacing. Thank you to JC Newman, partner of mine on the truck again. Great cigars. And then thank you to my dad watching at home and my fiance out in the living room.
All right, and thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the third place finish. We'll see you out next week at Dover.
Thank you, Austin.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your second place finisher on the night, Braden Avila. Braden, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
I got you.
Well, a second place run, nothing to scoff at, to say the least. You had some good speed, especially in that second run. It looked like early on after that stage break, maybe you were going to have something for Smallwood in the later portion. But, I mean, it's a road course. How are you feeling coming into tonight versus how you're feeling now?
I was really pretty much the same as David there. I really didn't have any expectations. Not much of a road course guy. And was really ecstatic to qualify where I did, really, and then just tried to ride through the first stage. And then when we started second there and towards the end of the stage, beginning of the last stage, I just tried to stay with Isaac, and then towards about 5 laps in, I realized I didn't have anything for him on the long run, and then he started pulling away.
Well, when we come to a race where we know that there's only going to be one caution for the stage break, when you start that second and final stage, is there anything as a driver that goes through your head on try to just keep the truck clean and get it to the end of this thing, or do you just go full aggression and it seems to kind of just work itself out?
No, I really tried to just keep it on the track. Tried to maintain my 0Xs. I kept it all the way to lap 51, and then I finally got my first off track, but that's what my goal was just to have 0Xs and hope that would help me.
Well, it looks like it worked out pretty well as you bring home the second place finish. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I really got to thank Mark for sure for putting it on, you for the broadcast. Teammates Eric and Isaac, they'd helped me a ton in figuring out how to get around this place. So.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and we'll see you next week at Dover.
Thank you.
All right, and now that's going to bring us to your winner here on the night, number 3 for Isaac Smallwood. Isaac, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
How you doing, buddy?
Well, you take home the crown at Watkins Glen, and boy, not just by a little bit, but by over 11 seconds. You put on a clinic here tonight. How did you pull that gap? Not just early, but even in the late going, the pit stop was clean. I mean, how do you come into a road course and show that kind of dominance?
A lot of racing the BMW. There was a lot of practice going into it. Like I said the previous week, we won our 24, and the brakes are totally different from the BMW to this, but we were able to keep her on the track and just maintain our speed and try not to let her get too loose on you, because these trucks were a little bit loose on the long run, and we just kind of backed her off a little bit, and we just kept all fours on the ground.
Well, everybody's always talking about what 1 win does for a driver in terms of momentum. I got to ask, what does 3 wins do for a driver in terms of momentum?
Man, I wouldn't have thought getting 3 wins would be possible. Getting one's hard enough nowadays, with all the talent in here, and to be able to get 3 and hopefully more. We're building off of that, and we have an end goal here, and that's what we're going to strive for.
Striving for some more wins certainly looks very doable, at least at this rate. But hey, before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates Eric and Braden. We put in work and we worked together during the race, and my road course team. They might have not helped me personally, but the weeks prior with all the road course experience that we had, it definitely helped out a whole lot. And you put on a great broadcast, and marking them for putting this league on.
All right, and thank you for talking to us. Well, congrats on the win number 3 that is, and we'll see you next week at Dover.
Yep, thank you.
All right, there you go. Hearing from Isaac Smallwood, your winner here tonight. That is going to wrap up our coverage here for the Nirjuana 135 at Watkins Glen International. I want to thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Don't forget, just after this, FEG PC Money Racing coming up at 10:45. Make sure you go check that out. We'll be back next week with more of the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series live from Dover Motor Speedway. Excuse me. Until then, I hope you all enjoy. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. Until next time, have a good night.